Fam, what's good? Kyle Henderson, Andrew Bone. Friday, July 29th. We just wrapped up some basketball footage. As I'm looking and got Richard Young commits here with Andrew Bone to break it all down. Bone, Alabama adds a very dynamic running back to the class 2023. Take it away.
Big commitment on Friday. I mean, you got to love these Friday 5 p.m. News dumps with,
Love it.
one of the absolute best players in the entire country is Richard Young.
Woo!
Has just committed to the University of Alabama, which we expected. I mean, we've been expecting this for a little while now. Even after Justice Haynes announced his commitment to Alabama, a few weeks ago, we knew that Richard Young was close. What we weren't really positive about was, how much of an effect would Haynes's commitment have on his decision. Now, we felt like Alabama was in the driver's seat for Richard Young heading into, this month, and then Justice Haynes jumped on board, and we saw what Justice Haynes said right after he committed. He said that he was going to recruit Richard Young, that he wanted him to join him, that they wanted to be, or at least he wanted to be. Justice Haynes said they wanted to be a two-headed monster in this recruiting class at the running back position, and that's exactly what Alabama just landed. Now, we've seen some talk over the course of the last few weeks that Oregon was certainly a top contender in the race for Richard. Georgia, obviously missing out on Richard Young. There was some talk that maybe Georgia was going to get really involved. From talking to people on the Georgia side, I mean, there wasn't really a strong feeling that he was going to commit to the Bulldogs, but there was a lot of chatter about Oregon. But we never really wavered on our feelings about Richard Young in Alabama. Always felt like that was going to be the case. I remember last summer he ended up attending Alabama's summer camp, did really well. And there was two guys I remember last summer that there were juniors that received a lot of hype from Alabama coaching staff after they attended camp, and that was Richard Young and Caden Proctor. And obviously we saw Caden Proctor announce his commitment last month to Iowa, but it was pretty close between Alabama and Iowa. And I think, like I said, Richard Young was one of these other guys that, the Alabama coaching staff is just very in love with. Very strong, powerful running back, had a great junior season. I mean, this is one of the absolute premier backs in the entire country. I mean, you look at Richard Young, Justice Haynes, I think you got, even though they may not have 5 stars next to their name right now, these are easily 2 5-star guys because they're both ranked in the top 30 overall in the country, in the top 100. So this is a great 1-2 punch. You got to give a lot of credit to Robert Gillespie. I mean, what an unbelievable job Coach G was able to do in this recruiting cycle, especially with these two running backs. Everybody gets, everybody's going to say, oh, well, it's late July. There's still several months to go until signing day. One thing to keep in mind, these guys have already taken their official visits. They can still take some unofficial visits in the fall, but, they've gone to all the schools that they wanted to see throughout the summer, throughout the spring. They were able to go to games last fall. So they've gone through this whole recruiting process. Obviously, schools are going to continue to recruit them, and, something to continue to watch moving forward to see if, either one of these guys ends up taking trips elsewhere during the fall. But I think both of these guys, Richard Young, Justice Haynes, very excited to be committed to Alabama. And what a big day for the Crimson Tide. We were talking about how this was such a big weekend for Alabama as far as, different kids coming into Tuscaloosa. We talked about Keon Keeley making a trip back to Alabama, the 5-star Notre Dame commitment. Things have gone really well for Alabama already this week with 2 commitments, Jalen Mbakwe. And then obviously Caleb Downs jumping on board on Wednesday. This is a big pickup for Alabama today in Richard Young. So you got to imagine Alabama coaches are ecstatic, and Alabama fan base has got to be extremely pumped because going into the summer, I think Alabama was sitting at 3 or 4 commitments. There wasn't a lot of just talk about this recruiting class, and now there's a lot of talk about this class, about how it can, really compete as potentially that number 1 overall class in the country. Because there's still a lot of big name guys that are out there that Alabama is on their short list. They're starting to, close the door on some of these top guys that they were really wanting throughout the entire process. And Richard Young was a top priority for a very long time. Like I said, we always felt like Alabama was in that driver's seat, and now he decides to officially jump on board, which, Yeah, I think he's I don't want to say he's been a private commitment, but I think he's known for a good while where he was going to go.
Bone, you look at his statistics right here on the screen. I mean, my goodness. I mean, 3,500 yards going into his senior year. I mean, last year he had 19 touchdowns alone. I think we're going to have a graphic coming up of the national recruiting rankings. And again, if you're just joining us, Richard Young, 2023 running back, has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm Kyle Henderson. He's Andrew Bone, both a Bama Insider. Fam, if you could hit the like button on this video, we appreciate you guys more than you know. We got Chris Daughtry, we got Trey Yanity behind the screen, producing the show. It's clearly a big get. And when you look to this class of 2023, Bone, and you kind of look at the overall makeup from this class, what do you like about it so far? I know that Alabama is certainly gaining a lot of momentum. They have some guys that you even put out a video earlier today, kind of a weekend preview about some guys coming in. When you look at this class as a whole, I mean, people seem to always be worried that Nick Saban has somehow lost it, or worried about the NIL. But when you look to this class overall, what do you like about this class, kind of from top to bottom, as they start to kind of fill out? When you look at the Rivals national recruiting rankings and the makeup of this particular recruiting class thus far.
Well, I think first, I mean, the offensive class is, extremely impressive. You start with the quarterbacks. You have two quarterbacks with Eli Holstein, Dylan Lonergan. Now you have your two running backs. Alabama was always planning on taking two running backs, Richard Young, Justice Haynes. Those were the top two guys on Alabama's recruiting board. They also really liked Reuben Owens, who committed to Louisville out of Texas. But those were really the guys that they really zoned in on, especially Young and Haynes over the course of the last several months. They were able to get both of those guys on board. They were able to get some great receiver commitments currently with Cole Adams and also Malik Benson. And then at the offensive line position, three offensive line commitments. I think they're closing on at least one more, maybe two more. But yeah, I mean, the offensive class is extremely impressive. I think they've done a great job there. Defense, still some needs to be met. I think defensive line, 0 D line commitments. I think that's going to change here pretty soon. Hunter Osborne is going to be announcing his decision on August the 1st. So on Monday, we're going to be tuned in pretty close to Hunter Osborne's decision. That could potentially be Alabama's first defensive line commitment in this 2023 class. And I think we're going to start seeing more defensive line commitments jump on board over the course of the next 2 months. Linebacker wise, we're likely going to see at least one more guy probably commit within the next few weeks. I think we're probably going to see a few more closing in on making decisions, but one in-state guy that's still out there, probably not going to make a decision anytime soon, is Quay Russo out of Montgomery. Defensive back wise, you're still looking great right now at the safety position. Still looking for a few corners. Cormani McClain remains a priority target for Alabama. So if Alabama can get Cormani McClain, another elite prospect out of the state of Florida, that would certainly make this defensive back class take that to a complete another level. So all of a sudden, Alabama in that top 5 in the team rankings, making a big surge, and we can expect more good news to come for Alabama over the course, not only over the next few weeks, but throughout the rest of this recruiting cycle.
Here with Andrew Bone, a Bama Insider. We just got a super chat, Trey. If you could throw that up, Conic hooking it up, $20. We appreciate you guys. I think you can feel the energy from Bone. You can feel the energy from me. We're really excited about the direction of Bama Insider. So please stay tuned. August 1st, we got some great news coming your way. We appreciate you guys' continued support. Follow Bone as he continues to really be the authority. And honestly, when we started working together, it was a great match, right, Bone? I mean, we've always just had like this good symmetry. A lot of people don't know, Bone and I have known each other for some time. And I don't know if you remember, Bone, but we first met in Atlanta. We were having some adult beverages. And we got together and we're like, if we ever work together, we could do something really nice. And
that's right. That's right.
Now we've worked together for 5 seasons. So kind of here we are. I've seen you. I was at your wedding. I saw you get married to Audrey. I saw you have your beautiful baby boy. So man, Bone
a lot of milestones together.
Bone is aging like fine wine too. So hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys more than you know. Back to Richard Young. Alabama gets their running back. As we kind of look at What could potentially be next for Alabama as we kind of wrap up this video and kind of go into the final segment of this. Um, you mentioned we're watching Hunter Osborne. You have a couple guys in state, but when you look to the kind of the overall positions of need within this class, what do you kind of highlighting? What should fans be highlighting? And I know sometimes we get to August and then we're like, all right, Bone, go on vacation because we're all team now, and we're like, okay, the recruiting was fun, but now team. But there's clearly going to be some more recruiting that takes place over the month of August. But just kind of highlight the positions of need as we kind of wrap it up. And then thanks, Paul. We appreciate your super chat as well. Bone, take it away in terms of kind of highlighting what could potentially be next for the Crimson Tide.
You know, as soon as we got finished with the month of June, all these official visits, camps, everything, you know, all these college coaches went on vacation. They were able to take a couple of weeks off. We had commitments almost every single day to cover throughout the month of July, and I think we're going to have a lot of commitments to cover in the month of August. So it's not, it's go time. You know, we're certainly in the season where we're seeing a lot of commitments, a lot of excitement, a lot of different things taking place. So as far as commitments are concerned, obviously I mentioned Hunter Osborne announcing his commitment on Monday, which I'm predicting for Alabama. Yeah, Miles McVay, big offensive tackle out of East St. Louis in Illinois, is going to be making his decision on August the 11th. Mm-hmm. As of right now, I do think Alabama is in the driver's seat. Miles is actually in Tuscaloosa this weekend, hanging out with the coaching staff once again. So I've got a strong prediction on Miles McVay to Alabama. So, what's going to happen with some of these other guys over the course of the next few weeks? Are we going to see potentially a decision coming from Cormani McClain? I think there's some rumors out there that he might go ahead and make a decision. Kelby Collins seems like he's very close to making a decision. There's some guys that are on campus in Tuscaloosa this weekend, and I mentioned Keon Keeley. Now, I'm not necessarily expecting a flip from Keon Keeley this weekend. It's a big to get him back on campus. I think they're going to get him back for an official visit down the road. But we will see what happens with Keeley this weekend. There's some other guys that we're likely going to see make decisions over the course of the next month and a half. Makari Vickers is scheduled to announce on August the 26th. Edric Hill, defensive lineman out of Kansas City, is going to announce in late September. We're probably going to see some more guys just pop out of nowhere and make decisions, just kind of like what we see. It's crazy that with Justice Haynes and Richard Young, these are the top two running backs in the country. Mm-hmm. Most of the kids these days, they'll announce their decision date on social media. They'll have a press conference, or they'll announce on some sort of platform their decision. Everybody's zoned in. Justice Haynes and Richard Young just both, bucked the trend and both announced on their own, and just kind of surprised everybody when they announced that decision. So it's pretty crazy to see. And Richard Young's been one of these kids that just hasn't done any interviews. I mean, I think he's done probably one interview with any network in the last 6 months. So he's been really quiet. You just never really knew what his time frame was as far as a decision was concerned. But I talked to his coach before, and his coach told me, he said, he's going to make a decision he's probably going to make a decision before the start of his season. So we kept saying that. We kept saying he's going to commit before the start of the season, but never really sure. And then, of course, Friday afternoon, when nothing's really going on, he decided to go ahead and jump on board for Alabama. So big get today for the Tide. Big to go into this weekend. And I mean, can you imagine the excitement in the Alabama facility today after officially getting Richard Young on board, getting Caleb Downs earlier this week, getting Jalen Mbakwe earlier this week, and kind of knowing some of these other guys that are really close to pulling the trigger for the Tide.
Good stuff, Bone. We appreciate what you bring every single day. Always follow Andrew Bone. People try to replicate the recruiting guru, but man, there's only one Andrew Bone. So we appreciate you, Bone. Hey, you know what? We're gonna keep the show going, Bone. You're gonna exit stage left. I'm gonna stay on and talk Alabama football, a little bit of depth chart. I'm feeling good. I got a monster. I'm pumped. I'm feeling good. So Bone, and we'll cut the video. So this will be our Richard Young video, and then we'll cut it for the rest of Alabama football. But Bone, I'm glad that we were both usually like Bone and I mean, we're grown, we got like barbecues or babies that we're like changing, whatever. So like we were both around both of the studios, so wanted to hop on for Richard Young. So congratulations to him, Bone. We'll catch up with you. Me and you are always texting, so text you later.
All right.
We'll catch up, man. All right. See you, Bone. All right. Andrew Bone, ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT when it comes to Alabama football recruiting. Let's talk some depth chart. You guys want to talk some Alabama football? Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys more than you know. Man, I missed you guys. Honestly, I missed you. I sincerely did. And if you guys were like wondering where I was at, like, look, I mean, I went through life, I got off the rails a little bit, to be honest with you guys. Went through some really difficult times personally. I appreciate you guys keeping me in your prayers. I'm back. I feel really good. Mentally, I feel excited, and really positive about, this upcoming season. So I kind of wanted to run through the depth chart a little bit. And if you have questions, post them and we'll get them on the screen. I'll take a couple questions. We'll talk the offensive depth chart. Again, this is from our lads. They do a great job putting together projected lineups, projected depth charts, and then we'll do the defense. I'll point out a couple different names that I'm kind of watching going into this August camp. And then we'll do the same thing on the defensive side as well. So let's just kind of look at this offensive overview real quick. And the thing that really jumps out to me are the transfers that were already on the first team SEC ballot, right? You got to start up at the top. If you could zoom back out just a little bit, Trey, for me. You got Jermaine Burton. He's coming over from Georgia. And, I was surprised kind of at SEC Media Days, and maybe I missed an opportunity as well to ask Kirby Smart himself, is what type of player do you feel that Jermaine Burton is and was for you? Because now that he's for playing for Alabama, I think you look at that wide receiving unit, clearly he's going to be one of the vets in that room. And Alabama had to add, they had to add some veteran wide receivers. I mean, clearly we know that the Alabama receivers after Mechie, and prayers up for Mechie after the leukemia diagnosis, I think he's going to be okay, but still scary, right? And then losing JMO, you had to add to that right away. And same thing with the running back room, considering B-Rob left. So when you look to the transfers that are incoming, you got Jermaine, you got Tyler Harrell coming over from Louisville. And from what everyone says, he's like a 4-3 guy. So you got your speed guy and you got Burton coming back. Another transfer that looks like they could potentially be in the mix for that starting position. Again, all this could mean zero because there's no depth chart at Alabama. I mean, ask Saban about a depth chart if you want to get pissed, right? If you want him to get pissed. But the point is there's 4 guys that are transfers in that could potentially be starters for Alabama. If you look to the vets within this team on the offensive side, clearly you got Bryce Young, who's the Heisman Trophy winner. Cam Latu, I mean, he had 8 touchdowns last year. I think, he's a very undervalued player. But I think if you follow Alabama football, you really know about him right now. And then you look to that offensive line, and a lot of people have kind of question marks about the offensive line. But Emil Ekiyor, he's a guy with a lot of experience. As you can see, he's a senior. Darian Dalcourt, I don't know if he's necessarily going to be the center. I think listening to Bryce, he said that Seth McLaughlin is probably going to be that center. So our lads probably needs to change that out. Cohen, I think, is really, really good. And then JC Latham, Tyler Booker, I think that could be a position battle, maybe going into the season. But I think JC Latham, from everything that I hear, is going to be that guy. So let's kind of look at that second tier and third tier in terms of guys who could potentially get playing time. I look to that running back group. You got Jace McClellan, Trey Sanders. Probably Trey Sanders is more reasonably the number 2 quarterback here. That's probably something I would change out on our lads. But then that's not taking away from anything from Jace or Roydell Williams. I mean, Jace McClellan could probably start at plenty other places, right, across the landscape of college football. You look at some of that, you look at the top of that second tier wide receiving unit, you got Christian Leary, Trayshawn Holden, Ja'Cory Brooks, JoJo Earl. I think that Alabama could really find a way to get Christian Leary and JoJo Earl and get those guys as your slot wide receivers, right, to get them the football, create mismatches across the middle of the field. And like Trey just pointed out, if you have questions, post them up. We'll get them highlighted on the screen. Kendall Randolph is a guy that has a ton of experience as well. He's a graduate coming back. They like to put him as a tight end in those heavy packages. Keep an eye on these 2 names. Kendrick Law, 6'3", 270 pounds. He's a guy that has a ton of experience as well. He's a graduate coming back. They like to put him as a tight end in those heavy packages. Keep an eye on these 2 names. Kendrick Law, 6'3", and Aaron Anderson. I think those guys, in terms of the younger group, I think those could certainly be guys that get on the field um, for this coming season. All right, let's scroll down now to the defense and kind of look at the defense overall, and we'll kind of wrap it up here. And by the way, we just posted Nate Oates' press conference. We had an early look at Alabama's basketball team today. Chris Daughtry was there. He's for Bama Insider. We'll introduce you. I think you might have seen him last year. Um, but we just got Nate Oates up if you want to go check out some basketball footage as well. Okay, as we look at the defense, love the defense, love everything about the defense from that starting, you know, that first 11, 12, 13. And sometimes when you look to Alabama's defense in terms of the starters, that's why Nick Saban doesn't like to just point out like the starters, because Alabama could really go, they have like 16 starters. I mean, when you look to this defensive line, you could rotate tons of guys, right? Tim Smith, DJ Dell, those guys are interchangeable depending on what packages. Byron Young, Jameer Lathan, Chris Broswell, some of those other guys are going to get onto the field. But when you look to that first team defense, Justin Ebogbe, I think he's very undervalued. I think he's going to be a player that has a really good season. And then, of course, the edge rushers, William Anderson and Dallas Turner. I think that is going to be the most dynamic pass rushing tandem that we've seen in college football in several seasons. I mean, I think those two guys are certainly top 5 picks. William Anderson, in my opinion, is the best player pound for pound in college football. You got Henry Toto coming back at that inside linebacker position. Now, all eyes are going to be on Jalen Moody. And can he retain that position? He is a senior. I've always had a lot of confidence in Moody. We've seen him on special teams, but I think Deontay Lawson could be another guy to push him. Same with Kendrick Blackshire, the guy who's, we've all been waiting to see Kendrick Blackshire, right? When you look to Alabama's secondary, I love the secondary, but Nick Saban did certainly say that he has some question marks about the secondary. Now, Coach Saban, if you followed our coverage, he works directly with the corners every single day. So you got Kool-Aid coming back, right? You got Kyrie Jackson. Kyrie Jackson saw some time towards the back end of the season. Then you also got Eli Ricks, who was the transfer from LSU, and we're kind of waiting to see, how he progresses during this upcoming fall camp. Other guys that I would watch for that corner position, Terran Arnold. I think he's a guy who could certainly get playing time. I had a great interview with him. Really enjoyed talking with Terran. He said that he's actually going to try to play some basketball. That's like his first love. But the strength of this group, I think, is in the veteran leadership with the safeties, right? DeMarco Hellams, probably pound for pound, the hardest hitter on this team. Jordan Battle, another guy that they brought to SEC Media Days. And then don't forget about, your 2-star position players. You got Brian Branch and Malachi Moore. My goodness, it's like that is how rich Alabama is, right? Is that you have Branch and Malachi Moore. Really like those two guys and what they're bringing to that star position. Do they have special teams on this, Trey? If you could scroll down on our lads, I don't even know if they have. Do they have special? Oh, of course they do. This is our lads. They have everything. We'll kind of just run through this real fast. So you got Burnup, as the punter, plays kicker, of course, William Riker, who was, icy, right? You got Neelan Hibbett. This is a cool story. Like Hibbett Sports. He's like a legacy. He's a family member to Hibbett Sports. How awesome is that? And then you got JoJo Earl, and they listed Jahmyr Gibbs here in terms of kick returner. I have no idea who they're going to have as kick returner. They could probably have plenty of guys returning kicks, whoever they want to. It was kind of interesting. Still, I still don't understand why they had Billingsley a couple times return kicks. That was something like I didn't agree with last year. It's like you need somebody with speed. Somebody who's agile, back there as a kick returner. So I like that JoJo Earl spot. So kind of that's where Alabama is in terms of their depth chart. We have some exciting news coming August 1st. Continue to follow us right here on Bama Insider. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, fam. I sincerely appreciate you guys more than being here. Hit that thumbs up. Help us get to 500 likes. We'll cut this video portion where I talk about the depth chart. So we have another video that you guys can circle through. I got a cut today. I was telling the guys before, the fine detail, like the work was amazing by my barber here in Tuscaloosa. Rivera's over here in Tuscaloosa putting in the good work, man. So I appreciate it. How about Hat by Outsider? Definitely check it out. And I appreciate you guys just for being here, making me feel like family. I remember when we started this almost 6 years ago, and we've been together, all that time. And you guys have seen the progression of the website. And thank you for being a subscriber here of our YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Richard Young has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. I hope you have a fantastic day, a fantastic weekend. I hope you finish out this weekend strong. Stay blessed. Be good people. I will catch up with you guys soon. The college football season is here. You could smell it. You could taste it. You could feel the humidity here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So thank you very much for being a part of our show today. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, a Bama Insider, saying, saying goodnight, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Thanks for watching.